Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm very happy to be this evening here. I think it's a little late, so I want to maybe if everybody can stand up for 1 minute, just kind of maybe 30 seconds, and just don't want to, I'm talking and everybody else following asleep. Okay, just stretch a little bit. Just breathe a little bit deep. Okay. Great. Thank you. Now you can sit down. So, when Deepakji was speaking, and particularly when he was talking about everything is projection, fabricated by mind, I can gradually see everybody's kind of following asleep, not feeling very much. And then I think PJ, is it PJ? When he was talking, I didn't hear very much what he was talking about. Everybody's existence came back. So somehow in between Deepakji and PJ, maybe the magic is there, but I think some sense of where is the self? Not that it completely kind of goes down, 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 not feel at all, or very much be entertained and you laugh and you don't know who's laughing. So I think main thing is here, it's always in this old tradition, like in Tibetan tradition, it's about we always talk about searching for self. So to find that self or lose that self, that's kind of most important part of the whole cycle of the teaching. So I think when Deepakji was talking a little bit, it reminded me a little bit about very 7th century ancient text called Dawajanse. Is a master who actually supposed to be achieved a body of light, and there was 5 lines that he taught. So 5 line was vision, it's mind. So that basically everything what you're seeing, it's your mind. So you're seeing me, I'm seeing you. Whatever I'm seeing, it's my mind. Then the second question is, what is that mind? It says, mind is empty. Third line, it says, vision is mind, mind is empty. Emptiness is clear light. So we are talking about the universe and the clear light or the luminosity. So emptiness is clear light. That's the third line. And the fourth line is clear light, it's union. So what you see and your mind, it's union. They are like inseparable. And the last line is called union is great bliss. So the bliss is that the experience when the appearances and consciousness, when you experience their union or experience their inseparable quality, then the bliss arises, then the quality arises. So these are very ancient teaching. Like when the master who taught this actually in the 7th century, during that time, all these teachings were known to be like a top secret. So they're supposed to be that every master who taught one student, only one student, they call single transmission. They didn't teach to second person. They was only taught to one person. Whenever they taught it, they taught these lines. Whenever they taught these lines, there were stories about through the pipe, they communicate that. They did not want to hear anybody else. So they remained very, very top. But these were like not an intellectual, it's not a theory. So I think sometimes what I hear in the West is many times when these teachings are taught, sometimes it becomes very theoretical. It basically goes to the brain, so on a section, or sometimes it goes, the analysis, psychologist, then it goes very much about analyzing. Or sometimes it goes very much like a nihilist, that it doesn't exist anything. You don't exist, I don't exist, everything is projection of mind. Yes, everything is projection of mind, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. So existence is still there. But the existence is not, it doesn't exist the way we think it exists. But something is there. And something is there that universe, that luminous mind, whatever you wanted to call it, how actually you can access that? I think that's the important question, because people have practiced. When I was a teenage, one of the practices what I call is you go into the dark room. So I spent 50 days in the dark room, basically, which means like in your toilet. That's the most important part, right? So you stay in that small room for 50 days. There was a little hole, and my mom, the other side is closed, both sides are closed, so my mom opens the one side, and she put the food there and opened the other side. I eat the food. So I spent there, and during that experiences, all the vision experiences, I had those experiences. So some sense, what I'm trying to say here is, its access is there. So this is what I would like to talk a little bit and maybe guide a short practice here tonight, talking about the 3 precious pills. So I wanted to guide short meditation and see this possibility of accessing, actually, like on a personal level, accessing that the luminous mind, or accessing that what we call a sacred space. Sometimes we refer as the mother. So I would like to guide. So just sit comfortably, everybody. Maybe take a few deep breathings, twice longer than usually you would breathe. Okay. The first, so bring your full attention to your body, from crown to the sole of the feet. As your body is still, be aware of that stillness. Simply be aware of that stillness. Nothing more, nothing less. Just simply be aware of that stillness. Whenever you lose the connection to that stillness, be aware that you lost the connection. Reconnect, maintain connection. Be aware of any effort in your body. Be aware of any effort in the attention. Let this effort go. Simply remain focused. And gradually that sense of subject, the one who is focusing, the object, the stillness of your body, let them go. And be aware of inner stillness. The stillness of your being. There's no object or there's no subject, but there is a presence of being. You are fully aware. The second precious pills through your speech. Be aware of the silence. Be aware of the silence in the room. You might notice that you're listening to the noise of air conditioning, but listen to the silence. Change your attention. Whenever you lose the connection to the silence, like feeling dull, unclear, not alert, not vivid, just be aware of that. Reconnect, continue, rest. You are aware of the silence. The wisdom of silence. And gradually, you're not listening, let listener go, or the let silence go, but be aware of the silence of being. Nobody is listening to nothing but the presence of silence of being. It's fully here. Last and third precious pills. Through the door of the mind. Be aware of spaciousness of the mind or the openness of the mind. the nature of mind is open and clear. Be aware of that. Or feel like a clear desert sky, being like a clear desert sky. You are clear desert sky. Gradually be aware of this sense of being, the spacious being. Instead of imagination, focus, being that spaciousness, being that sky, being that universe, unbounded space. Okay, you can open your eye. So this very simple, short practice. So if you look at closely this experience, when we call it in our tradition, we call 3 doors. Means your body is one door to that luminous mind. Your speech is one door to that luminous mind. Your mind is one door to that luminous mind. We call 3 doors to that luminous mind. So where we experience this is resting our body. Trying to rest our body. Through resting, we find a connection to that sacred space. Speech. Because some sense of, like a lot of chattering our mind, a lot of pain, speeches, complaints. If these speeches, instead of trying to figuring out or think or put a lot of effort to trying to figure out what that is, no. Just simply shut it down. And in the way you shut it down, instead of listening to your voices inside, you just bring attention to the silence. I hear silence. Not listen to the smart ego. Listen to the silence. When you focus there, the level of focus goes deeper and deeper. And at some point, what we call like this idea of non-duality, idea of not subject and object. So you go beyond subject and object, there is only sense of silence. And when somebody is aware of that sense of silence, in our tradition we call, we say in Tibetan, Jumechi Ishi. Jumechi Ishi means a wisdom of silence. You are aware of that silence of being. Same thing with the mind. So why these 3 things are very important? Important here is, I think, it's something like if you think about in the Western world, we think a lot of things about healing, for example. We talk about a lot of things healing. If you think about a lot of things about magic, for example, where does this magic happens? Where does this healing happens? Where does communication happens? Movement in the universe happens? They all happen in that stillness, in that silence, in that spaciousness. But usually we don't believe that, right? We think in order to make something happen, you have to be in charge, you have to control, you have to work hard, you have to suffer, you have to make other people suffer, then only you accomplish. We don't think about, okay, there's stillness in the body, silence, magic's going to happen. We don't think that way. But the truth is, many times in our life, when we don't control, when we let go, when we connect with our being, that is the time everything is happening. I mean, even in our tradition, I've been always interested in bringing these practices of what I call three doors practices into healing. For example, in MD Anderson Hospital, the National Institute for Cancer funded over $2 million to do specific researches with the cancer patients, about 300 people. And the people who have never, probably some of them never meditated, and definitely many of them are not familiar with this tradition. But when they practice, the effect is there. The healing is there. Recently, we did an online about a few thousand people, and about 1,000 people are practicing, but about, I think, 500-600 people actually wrote the journal every single day, practicing what we call true source of healing, which basically means that you go through these 3 steps, go deep enough where go beyond the sense of self. The wrong self is one who is responsible for producing problem, producing sickness, producing pain. You go some sense beyond that and finding the awareness and hosting all the challenges and physical and emotional pain, hosting in that space, in that sacred space, in that sacred light. When people host it that way, like a 30-40% physical pain has reduced. So it's not like the reduce basically means it's not like you're putting effort trying to do so much thing. The opposite. You're trying to be and rest, and you allow things to happen in that space. So that's what is, it's constantly in old tradition, again and again, these are very much improved. People have done throughout the century in Tibetan tradition, yogis have practiced these things. It's nothing, many times when people say scientific community saying they discover one thing, they discover 2 things, for us, these are known. The only thing is probably they did not publish in the scientific journals, medical journals and those things, but these are very much known and proved, and people have practiced like this. So another thing reminds me a little bit, what I wanted to say is this idea of, in one very ancient text, it talks about 3 kind of innate awareness, 3 kind of, sometimes it's confusing a little bit. I think when Deepak ji was talking about the consciousness, for us, it's, we use a term called Rigpa. Rigpa is referred as innate awareness, the awareness which exists within you from the beginning. So innate awareness. So usually we think about consciousness is thinking about you're conscious of something. It always seems like a consciousness seems like a more duality than innate awareness. This is a definition of terms, but anyway, it's not a big deal here. But some sense, for us, in some sense, it's important. They talk about, very, very old text, it talks about 3 kind of innate awareness. One, it talks about, it's called chabrik. Chabrik means pervasive innate awareness. That means the awareness which covers matter and consciousness and everything, mind and the matter. So basically, the awareness is in the microphone, in the flower, in all of you, in me. We all have that awareness in everybody. So that's called pervasive awareness, matter and the mind both. Second one is called primordial innate awareness. The primordial innate awareness, it only exists in beings. So it's not in the matters, but beings, not only human beings, but all the sentient beings, everybody who has consciousness, dogs, animals, everybody. So the primordial innate awareness is in every being. The last one is, I think, is the most kind of important one and interesting one is that what we call samrik. Samrik means conscious innate awareness. Because now conscious innate awareness now, it's referring to us. For example, if I guided this short practice of meditation of 3 doors or 3 precious pills. This time is a little bit too late to practice the awareness practice. I think everybody is a little bit tired here. But generally, if the practice work, like when somebody is guiding the practice, teacher is guiding the practice, when the practice is working, what does that mean? Somebody is guiding someone into that conscious innate awareness. That means we all have access to that conscious innate awareness. So that's very important, because unless you are conscious of that innate awareness, it's not going to make any changes. So the whole thousands of years of meditation coming down, they are all not theoretical based, clearly not theoretical based, particularly these kind of ancient knowledge. They are conceptual mind, intellect, theoretical, are most obstacle to understand the nature of mind. Because you can go on and on and on, there's always somebody is analyzing it. Until there's somebody is analyzing it, you're never going to find anything unless the analytical mind itself stop analyzing it and rest fully in that spacious mind. That's the only time somebody is going to experience that. So this is, I think, sometime like in the West also, when these teachings are introduced, so that sense of the conscious innate awareness, I think is very, very difficult, because whenever we think about conscious innate awareness, the self, the small self, the ego always interferes. Always. Even you talk about mindfulness meditation and practices, and many of you know now John Kabat-Zinn has introduced in many hospitals and in many, many places. But everybody is always, when you're doing something like that, it's always what I'm going to get out of this practice. Somebody want to get something out of practice. I think probably is a very materialistic view, very spiritual materialistic view. There's no way you can practice, do something without wanting something. Does it make sense? So I think it's very much kind of really like a problematic in terms of truly sense of understanding that ancient wisdom tradition. I think the only way, the closest possible way to understand that will be less of that materialistic view, less of that dualistic view. What does that mean? It comes down to in oneself, the sense of self, ready to tame that sense of self, not always be entertained, because we wanted to be always entertained. Can you have a moment where you don't need entertainment? Unless, if you can in your life, unless you have a moment, different moments in your life where you don't need entertainment, then forget about enlightenment. There's no enlightenment, because you needed to be entertained, ego needed to be entertained all the time. So I think, just to conclude here, is thousands of years of old tradition. There is very specific ways in which these experiences are introduced. And because of our intellect, theoretical, conceptual mind is so strong here, particularly in the West, and we lose this possibility of accessing that truth. So if we do want to access the truth, we have to watch that mind and that self. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.